Do you know how many videos I made on this channel before I had one video that started to take off? Go back and look. I've unlisted a bunch of them. Everything we're doing right now doesn't really matter. I mean, it matters, right? Because life is fun. We want to do stuff that is fulfilling. But it doesn't really matter. It's because you're missing some information, not because you're missing gear. You're missing accountability, not because you're missing gear. It's because you're missing mentorship and community, not because you're missing gear. Get those composition skills to the point that you are undeniable. Hey there! I'm answering questions today for gamers making music. Our first question we have coming in is, look, should I be using a mobile app for composing music? And the answer, in short, is no, not unless you can help it. So if the only thing you have access to is a phone or a tablet, then fine, use a mobile app. There's plenty of fantastic composition apps out there. One I like is Flat.io. That works reasonably well on mobile. Also, it's free. You can use like FL Mobile and things like this. Mobile apps, they're okay for sketching ideas down while you're on the go. But at that point, I'm like, all right, why am I just not recording an idea into like an audio app and then figuring out when I get home, at least for me, for my workflow. So a mobile app can work. However, if you're really looking to compose music and get serious about it, get yourself a computer, even a super cheapo depot one, and make sure you can have enough RAM on there that it'll actually run some music composition software, and get yourself some music composition software, even working with something for free like BandLab. In my opinion, and in my experience, way better option than using one of the mobile apps. I tried to go all in on a mobile setup. So I had my phone, I bought like a little MIDI keyboard that had like 50 keys that plugged into the phone through the connector and everything. And even then, like it was not the vibe. I was not getting as much done. It just wasn't as practical. It's really the amount of friction that's present in a mobile device, because you don't have the ability to click with a mouse and also use a keyboard, which gives you so much freedom when you're creating on a computer, and so much flexibility also when you're creating on a computer. So I cannot understate the importance and the value of composing on a computer as opposed to a mobile device. Hey, my brother's composing music. What tips do you have for him? Well, number one, get the 3 legs of learning music. And if you don't know what the 3 legs of learning music are, once you have the 3 legs of learning music is way easier than it is if you don't have the 3 legs. And if you're a music teacher watching this going, hang on a second, bud, what music college did you go to where they taught you about the 3 legs of learning music? I'll tell you, they did teach me about this in college, so you're super welcome for this one. Leg number 1 is information. You need the information you need to be able to go to where it is you want to go in creating music. You need a map. You need to know where you are now and where you want to be, because a map is only useful if you know those 2 things. If you don't know where you are on the map, but you have a map to your destination, but you don't know where you are, you're still lost. So you need to know where you are and then also where you're going. Number 2, you need accountability. Now, for some folks, just internal accountability is enough. You don't need someone outside of you. Now, for a lot of people, that's not the case. You actually want someone outside you giving you some feedback and holding your hand along the way and saying, hey, all right, next week I'm going to see you and let's have XYZ done. Now, the 3rd leg is going to be mentorship and community. You want to have someone who's done it before. You also want to look for someone who's actually getting results with other people. Just because someone's able to get results for themselves doesn't necessarily mean they're able to get results for other people. Now, just because someone gets results for other people also doesn't necessarily mean they're able to get those results for themselves. And so if you're a person who's not that person and you want to get results with that person, look to see if that person got results for other people. In other words, look for someone who's a fantastic coach who gets results from people over someone who's a hyper specialist in their category. Not all specialists are great coaches. Not all coaches are great specialists. So when you're looking to learn something and you're looking to grow in something, find someone who is a world-class and excellent coach in getting that result in other people. And they have a proven track record of getting that result in other people. So those are the 3 legs of learning music. And if you follow all 3 of those steps, you can have a way easier time. Now, you might have follow-up questions on that. Like, okay, when it comes to the map, you said step number 1, like, what is that? Well, that would be books, courses. You can go on YouTube, but real talk, I don't recommend doing that. In my experience with many different things that I've learned, going on YouTube versus actually sitting down with someone who's a subject matter expert who has a proven A through Z system, oh my gosh, the difference is literally insane. And I don't know about you, I only have one life and they haven't solved for immortality yet, so I'd prefer to save time and actually get the result today as opposed to waiting 5 years from now to get the result that I'm after. So yeah, there you go. Now, your next question might be, okay, so with leg number 2, when it comes to accountability, what different types of accountability are there? Well, I can tell you the types of accountability I like to use. Types of accountability I like to use is number 1, one-on-one check-ins. So that's where you actually have a human being who's watching your progress, who knows where you are now and where you want to be. They know your map, and they actually will send you texts every day, like, hey, buddy, I know you're here, and we're looking to get here, just a reminder. And that keeps it top of mind. And also, when you have that feeling that someone else is actually paying attention to your progress, that's huge. It's a huge, huge, huge booster in terms of just the motivation to get something done. Now, the second type of accountability I like are one-on-one lessons. That's where you actually sit down with someone who's an expert in their field and someone who's gotten results for other people in the thing you want to do, and you sit down and crush with them. And you just rock and roll. Whatever that bottleneck is that you're having that day, sit down, crush it, bottleneck done, and then you move on and move quickly to the next thing, and you progress very quickly, and you get a lot more done a lot faster. And the second type of accountability, third type of accountability I'm a big fan of is group accountability. Ooh. Actually, I'd say group accountability is my favorite because the results that you see for people who participate in group accountability are just insane because it's a multiplied factor. So instead of just looking at, oh, well, I'm going to see my coach next week and I don't want to let them down, it's like, I'm going to see 15 people next week. And I told all of them I'd have a composition done by the next time I see them. And the level of accountability and the level of internal, like, oh, I've got to get this doneness inside a human, when that happens, is just, it's a beautiful thing for making progress. It really is beautiful. And then the gorgeous part is it's multiplicative because everyone is in that group holding each other accountable at the same time. Absolutely love it. So one question I get relatively often is like, okay, what if I want to create music in a specific genre? What if I want to create a music for like hero shooters as opposed to third-person shooters or as opposed to a World War II shooter or something? Here's the cool thing. Once you understand how music works, creating music in any genre and style actually, for the most part, is not that difficult. Yes, it's true. If someone all they do all day is just create music in that one genre, they will likely outperform you. However, you can understand the principles that makes a genre sound the way it does and then go cook in that genre in a matter of minutes once you understand how music works. And something I see more often than not, I will tell you, and it's, man, I have talked to more than a couple gamers who spend their time buying new gear and learning new instruments when really their goal is to create music. And it is like so not the answer. I was talking to a gamer a while ago who was like, yeah, I saved up like $2,000 to get this specialty keyboard. It's like, that's not at all the limiting factor for you creating music for the rest of your life, having a specialty keyboard. Like, you having the next piece of gear, you having the next plugin, that's not what the thing that's stopping you from creating music at a super high level for the rest of your life. And honestly, I feel a little sad when I have conversations with people like this. And what really for me is the sad part is if I show someone there's a better way, but they're so stuck in their sunk bias. I don't know if it's like the sunk cost bias. That might not be the exact name for it, but basically the idea is, okay, let's say that you thought red cars were going to save humanity from something. And so you went and you bought 1 million red cars. It's like, you've now bought 1 million red cars. Everyone knows, because if you do that, it's going to get on the news. Everyone knows you bought 1 million red cars because you thought buying 1 million red cars was going to save humanity from some existential threat. And what happens at that point is for you to walk that back and say, you know what? I've reconsidered. I've looked at the evidence. Turns out there is no existential threat from humanity, that I'm going to save them by buying 1 million red cars. That walk back right there is a pretty difficult thing to do. And so for some people, they've been living this life of, oh, I need to buy my next piece of gear. I need to buy my next keyboard. I need to buy, my next, MIDI controller. And they get so caught up that that's going to be the answer for them actually creating and releasing professional quality music. And it's not. It really isn't. And whenever I have this conversation, I bring up this story. There's a band called the Fugees. And what's his name? I'll remember. He plays guitar and sang in the Fugees. Ooh. Anyway, doesn't matter. Point is, I was at a masterclass of this guy from the Fugees, and he was like, we didn't have fancy gear. We borrowed a beat up mix board and we figured it out. And the truth of the matter is that, yes, at the level of professional quality music, you might need some plugins. You definitely need you need a digital audio workstation, be able to rock and roll. However, it's you don't need thousands of dollars of gear to be able to create and release professional quality music. Maybe $1,000 and maybe $500. Real talk, in terms of gear alone, $400. Real for real, $400, professional quality music, you're good to go. Easy. That's $400 and not thinking. If you thought through it, you might be able to get down to $250, $200, but $400, no thinking, you've got professional quality music in your back pocket. And so most likely the thing that's actually blocking you, if you've been buying new gear over and over again and you still haven't got to the place that you want, is that you're missing the 3 legs of learning music. You're missing information to get you from where you are now to where you want to be. You're missing a map, or you have the map, but you don't know where you are and you don't know where you want to be. Number 2, you're missing accountability. And number 3, you're missing mentorship and community. And if you have all 3 of those things together, getting there easy as pie. Easy as pie. And we say, I've baked pie. It takes a couple hours. Yeah, so learning music takes a couple hours too. So it is about as easy as pie. Both things take a little bit of effort, right? So I'm not saying it's the easiest thing in the entire world. The easiest thing in the entire world is, I don't know, sitting here doing nothing. Seems pretty easy. So compared to sitting here doing nothing, yes, creating music is work, but if you want to create music, the hours you put in, it's worth it. It's fun. And then you see yourself grow. Then you take it all to the next level. So if you're one of these perpetual buyers and you have not yet figured out how to break the plateau and to actually create music, it's because you're missing some information, not because you're missing gear. It's because you're missing accountability, not because you're missing gear. It's because you're missing mentorship and community, not because you're missing gear. All right, Chilius VGM. Hey, Chilius VGM. Chilius VGM asks, I'm curious, should I start splitting my process of music writing apart more? I tend to produce and write at the same time. Are these better apart? Well, okay. So there's a different answer to this question for different times. Okay, so check this out. If you've been creating music for a decade, you are likely composing, arranging, and mixing all at the same time as you create your piece of music. Now, if you're just starting out, don't try and do all 3 of these at once. First, figure out how to get a solid composition. And the composition I'm going to define as being, at least for thematic compositions, it's going to be a melody and then some type of chord progression underneath that melody. Compelling melody, chords, the whole thing works. Get that working for you. Then, that's the what. The composition is the what. And then we say how. How does the composition happen? That's the arrangement, right? And then your next step is, okay, now what instruments are going in? How are those instruments going to express the harmony? How is the melody going to be represented? That's the arrangement. And then next you go to mixing, which is how am I going to dial everything in, get everything panned, get all the volume, compression, everything. All my meters are looking good. My ears are telling me it's good. And then finally mastering, which is preparing for delivery and release. That's how you start off doing things. Now, on the other end of the continuum, I got to spend 2 weeks with AAA video game composer Jeff Broadbent making some courses for you guys. And when I was making those courses with Jeff, what we were talking about some of the time is that for him, 1 minute of music takes approximately 4 hours total. Now, that's 1 minute of music composed, arranged, mixed, and mastered. So to do 1 minute of AAA quality music takes 4 hours to go through the entire process. And you can actually see in his workflow that he is both first, a lot of the time, he's composing first, he's getting a sketch of the idea, but then he's arranging and mixing and composing all at the same time, all in one shot, and then dialing things in and then mastering. So that's the two ends of the spectrum. So on the first end, we do one thing at a time. That's when we're first starting out. And on the other end of the spectrum, we're kind of doing everything all at once in a way that works for us. So it really depends on where you're at with your music skills and what stage of the process you're in terms of your musical development and your music skills in each one of those buckets, because each one of those buckets that I just described is a whole different skill. Composing is a separate skill from arranging. Arranging is a separate skill from mixing. Mixing is a separate skill from mastering. And until you have all of those skills down, it's like you're building a bridge. So the first part of the bridge is like you get the composition. You got this much of the bridge built. And then you get arranging. You got this much of the bridge built. And then you get mixing. You got this much of the bridge built. And then you get mastering. And then you have an entire bridge that you can send songs over to go get them out into the world. So it's just about building that bridge and getting all of your skills together. And then it depends on where you're at in the life cycle of growing as a composer and growing as a music creator. So as an example, like I was making a genre of music last week that I had never made before. It was music for a rhythm game, and I'd never made rhythm game music before. So I was thinking a lot about the framework of it, because how everything was spaced out, and you have this like drop before the end, and just the way the melody, it's like almost a simple melody, but a hyper fast BPM, and you just like layer synths on top of the same idea to make the idea build without changing the idea, then bring in different background elements, and then you have these sort of drops and these, it's a whole thing that you can map out and generally turn it into like a framework. Now, because I'd never composed music like that before, I was spending a lot more time just sitting down thinking through the composition than if someone was like, hey, can you just make me something just like dancey? Or can you make me something that's rocky? Like both those genres, I've done a million times. I just sit down, rock it, do it, done. And then also with the mixing, I always put a little more effort into the mixing too, because there was actually more elements in a different way than I was used to doing for dance stuff. And yeah, so it also depends on if it's your first time doing something too. If it's a new genre, a new style, new skill. So Julius says, I'm in the middle, quite heavy confidence in arranging and producing, that confidence in composition. Right. So Julius, if you're lacking right now and you know that you're lacking in composition, it's like, this is the massive unlock for you. If I'm reading you right, it's like, don't attempt to make a weak compositional idea stronger through your skills in arrangement and production. I'm going to say that again because it is so important. Don't make a weak compositional idea stronger or try to make it stronger through your skills in arrangement and production, because what's going to happen is if you do that, you're going to end up not growing as much as you could as a composer, as opposed to slowing down for maybe a month, maybe 2, maybe 3, just focusing 100% on your composition skills. Get those composition skills to the point that you are undeniable. The melodies you're writing are compelling and hard, like no chords behind them. The melodies you're writing are just like, oh my gosh, they're just bringing out emotion. They're the perfect speed, perfect key. Everything's dialed in, because then what happens is the production and the arrangement around it, it's just the icing on the cake, and it brings the whole thing together. And then you're going to magnify the awesomeness of your melody, as opposed to taking a melody that's only okay and then spending 20, 30, 40 hours on the production trying to get it to sound like something. Jomu says, do I have recommendations for good studio headphones and audio interface? Good studio headphones? No. I've been using these things. Well, I'm actually not going to tell you what these are because they stopped making them. And so every time they come up on eBay, I buy myself another pair because I'm so used to them. And yeah, decent headphones, spend at least $100, find something with good reviews. Now, audio interface, same thing. Right now, I'm using I'm not gonna give any name brands, but I'm using a cheap audio interface that many people use for running this because it's so easy to plug in and play. And then I sold it. I used to have a giant universal audio, like 4 input giant thing. But yeah, like all that stuff is like, so in my opinion, it's so overrated. It's like you think that stuff is so important right now. Like when people first start off making music, they think that the audio interface that they use is so important. They think the headphones that they use are so important. And I will tell you that like it's really not. Like pick a pair of earbuds and get to know those pair of earbuds really well. Mix with those. You can see some of the most fantastic mixing engineers in the world will use any speaker and they'll get a fantastic sound out of the music. So the thing that's stopping you is not a USB audio interface, and the thing that's stopping you is not your headphones. So it's like plug your headphones straight into your computer. The only reason you need an audio interface is if you're actually bringing voice or instruments in, and even then you can just bring voice in. It's only if you're bringing instruments in. Real talk, the only reason, in my opinion, you should buy an audio interface in 2025 is if you are recording an instrument that is electric that needs to be plugged into the audio interface into your computer. Other than that, if you have a newer computer that has like a decent microphone, like, yeah, no doubt if you get a Neumann mic, it's going to sound way better than your, built-in computer thing. But like, that's not the thing that's stopping you. You feel me? That is not the thing that's stopping you. Yeah, might not be the top quality. Yeah, you might need to run it through some plugins to get it to sound great, but that's not the thing that's stopping you from creating, releasing, and living your best life musically. Yeah, Pat the Whale says, I started gaming headset free online software. So true. Pat, here's a great example. Pat the Whale has composed now for a video game that got released into Game Jam, has like 15 releases to his name, and his first 2 releases he did on free software. He did on BandLab, and he did with a pair of gaming headphones. And they sound great. It's like first principles thinking. According to the laws of known physics, must I have a USB interface in order to create and release professional quality music? No. According to the laws of known physics, must I have high quality studio headphones in order to create and release professional quality music? Again, no. Like, does it help? No doubt, Cub Scout. But according to the laws of known physics, it's not a requirement. So because it's not a requirement, it means we don't have to do it. Chili's V Gem says, I have a lot of regrets buying gear I didn't actually need. Right, think of the opportunity cost of that money, where that could have gone, right? So it's like, instead of spending another $300, $400 on music gear, spend $300 or $400 on your music skills at the actual bottleneck for you getting to where you want to go with your music. Now, maybe that's a music book. Maybe it's a course. Maybe it's a coaching program. Maybe it's just signing up for a platform like DistroKid so you can get your music out there. Maybe it's having someone master your music. Whatever the actual bottleneck is, go after that bottleneck. But like, you will waste time, money, you will waste your entire life chasing after things that are not the real bottleneck. Especially for those who hesitate to buy expensive stuff, it's worth it getting your skills up first so you yourself know what you need to spend on. This is everything. Skills first. Skills first. Now, obviously I'm biased because I help people level up their skills. I sell books, courses, and coaching. But like, the way I act as a buyer in the marketplace of skill acquisition, I do that too. I buy stuff for my skills all the time. I Like Cars asks, I make music. I post it on YouTube, but I don't get many views. How do I promote my stuff better? Wow. Let me tell you. First, let's talk about marketing. What is marketing? Marketing means to make known, So people are not knowing about your thing. You're not making it known. Do you know how many videos I made on this channel before I had one video that started to take off? Hundreds. No. Go back and look. I've unlisted a bunch of them. Go back and look at this channel and look at how many videos. The first video I did that took off is I did a live reaction to Megalovania. That's the first video that actually started to, well, to be fair, I had some videos that were taken off before that. I was doing some like AC/DC reactions and stuff like that. So to be fair, that did it. However, there was like another level of taking off when I started doing when I did a Megalovania reaction. And if you go back and look at all the videos I did on this channel, and the most helpful thing I can tell you about people not watching your stuff is that no one cares about you. Like, not in terms like your family. Like, your family loves you. Like, you have friends that love you. But like, the public, the world, like, doesn't care. And I say that because if you think about it, 100 years from now, likely you and I are both going to be dead and no one will remember either one of us. I'm going to say that again. 100 years from now, likely you and I will both be dead. No one will remember us. So everything we're doing right now doesn't actually really matter. I mean, it matters, right? Because life is fun. We want to do stuff that like is fulfilling, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, so if we understand that from that frame, it's like, okay, if I understand no one cares, in 100 years, we're all going to be dead, no one's going to remember me. What is it that I'm going to do right now that will make people care? I can tell you what I've done that makes people care. What I've done that makes people care is I show up as my most genuine, best version of myself. I go on live streams for hours and hours and hours. I listen to music. I have a fun time doing it. And people who have an emotional connection to that music also come hang out. We have a fun time. Keep in mind the volume of content that I put out. And I have videos that still flop now. Right? I still try new types of content all the time. They get like 300, 400 views that I pour my heart into. So it's like, what volume are you putting out? Are you releasing 2 new pieces of music per week? Right? If you want to release 2 new pieces of music per week for 1 year, not just onto YouTube, but here's the thing. Oh man, here's the kicker too. It's like, I have worked with people who come to my Gamer Music Creator Guild, my program, who were releasing pieces of music onto YouTube that did nothing. Like nothing. They come in, we teach them the right way to actually get their music done so it's finished, polished at a professional level. And then they go back to YouTube, and I can even tell you one success story here. Scrap Matrix came into our program, had a whole bunch of YouTube videos that weren't getting much traction, understood how to build his music up. He went and released 4 or 5 pieces onto Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Music, professional quality stuff, then went and did a YouTube remix that sounded awesome from all the skills he learned, and boom, all of a sudden he had like 702 monthly listeners on Spotify. Right? So it's like, the problem, to diagnose the exact problem, I can't tell you what the exact issue is, right? Because there's multiple blocks that it could be. The block could be the amount of content you're putting out. The block could be the quality of the content you're putting out. Because then the quality gets to the point that it's like the right thing, then people will be like, oh yeah, this is awesome. Now sometimes the quality can't be good, or sometimes the quality isn't good and people are still like, oh yeah, this is awesome. Right? And sometimes it's a volume play. But like, unless you're putting out 2 pieces of music per week, and you're putting them out at a professional level of quality, and you do that for a year, then come back and tell me it's not working, we'll talk about something else. But get your music skills to the point that you can just crush pieces of music and get them out like that. Like at a professional level, like mixed, mastered, like top-notch stuff. Get 2 of those out a week. Jomu says, I've been composing for some time now. I'm happy with the stuff I can come up with, but my mixing, mastering skills are the hurdle I'm trying to conquer. Right. How do you know that that's the bottleneck? Like, I'll tell you, man. Like, I brought people into my Gamer Music Creator Guild program, and like, they had misidentified the bottleneck by 100 million miles. And I'll talk, like, even just people being like, yeah, I need to buy this new piece of gear. That's my bottleneck. It's like, trusting that you know precisely what the bottleneck is something I would question for you. For you to sit down, like, take 2 hours and just really sit down, like, on a piece of paper, say, what is the bottleneck for my music right now? And then sit down and look at that and think about that for like 2 hours. Like, for real, for real. Because identifying a bottleneck can be a lot more work than we think it is at first blush, because there's so many opportunities to misidentify the actual bottleneck for creating music and to get it right and to know exactly what it is. And here's the thing though too, it's like you're going to solve one bottleneck, and the proof that you've correctly solved the bottleneck is that it creates a second bottleneck that is new that you've never solved before. That's how you know for a fact you've solved the bottleneck, is that a new bottleneck appears. Yeah, so for mixing and mastering, basic tips for getting better. I'm just going to start at mixing, because if you get the mixing down, the mastering, real talk, you just put a limiter on it. And no, it's not that easy, but if you've got a decent mix, you can just do this. For mixing, use reference mixes. Use a lot of reference mixes, and when you're using the reference mixes, understand that the reference mixes have already been mastered, so reduce the reference mixes by at least 8 dB when you're bringing them into your DAW to compare your music to theirs, at least. Because you're not going to get the same volume in your mix as in the final mastered version that you're listening to. But even then, it's like, all right, you can use algorithms to master your stuff, and also you can just put a brick wall limiter on it and just crank it until it distorts and then back it off. Right? Let's say you have no optics. You've got no meters, nothing. VelociJammer14 says, the thing about being a content creator is that it's a gamble. Well, life is a gamble, isn't it? Every time you step out the door, it's a gamble. Sometimes no matter how good you are, right now you just won't be noticed. Well, but see, it's not even like that. It's like, oftentimes when you're creating music and you're creating content and someone's not noticing you, it's because you're just not packaging it the right way. There's so many examples throughout history of people who write books and they just change the title on the book. So this guy releases this book called, I don't even know what. It was like the optimization between men and women for successful relationships or something like that. And it sold like nothing. Then he changed the title to Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, and the thing blew up and sold like a bajillion copies. So it was the same content. It was the same exact content. What was changed was the headline. What was changed was the packaging. What was changed was the framing. So how are you framing your content? Like, you'll notice on my channel that I run A/B tests for thumbnails. I run A/B tests for titles, because I don't know what the framing is that the market or the algorithm, aka people, are going to most identify with. So you've got to just test different framings. And then also, if you're a music creator and you're not making like a video diary where you're bringing people into the story of what you're doing, you're making a mistake, in my opinion. If you're not taking 5 minutes at the end of every day of being like, here's what I got done, here's how I'm feeling about my music, here's where we're going, here's what the plan is. If you're not telling stories and documenting the stories along the way, and if you're not documenting the process of you making your music, also a big mistake too. Like, I was composing music last week, the week before. I was live on Twitch every day and recording it. Share your story. Give people a reason to care. Give people an avenue in which to emotionally invest in you. Because until you give them an avenue to emotionally invest in you, they already pretty much don't care. Everyone's thinking about themselves all day, most of the time. That's not like everyone's selfish. That's just how brains work. We're wired for survival. We're wired to think about ourselves. It's like, you think people are thinking about you. They're not. They're thinking about themselves. So give people an experience to have with you. And unless you're giving people an experience, you're changing their state, you're giving them a feeling, in my experience, you will not have impact. But that's just me in my little corner of the world, on this little channel, spinning through space on this little rock. So, there you go. I'm going to end this. Take care, and this was a successful episode number 2 of Gamers Creating Music. Did it. Bye.